How does a modern airplane, a huge Boeing 777, one of the safest and most advanced jets ever made, just vanish? I mean, completely off the face of the earth. Okay, let's get into one of the biggest, most heartbreaking mysteries of our lifetime. So let's go back to the beginning. The date is March 8th, 2014. It started out as a totally normal night. On board that flight were 239 souls. 239 people. Passengers, crew, every single one with a family, a story, a reason to be on that plane. It's so important we don't forget that number. This is about them. And then, they were just gone. The plane disappeared. No mayday call, no emergency signal. For the longest time, there was no wreckage. There was just nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right, so before we get into any of the theories, let's strip it all back. Let's just focus on the hard facts. What do we actually know about Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370? So the flight itself was MH370. The aircraft was a modern Boeing 777. It was on a completely routine, scheduled flight from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, heading to Beijing, China. And its official status, even to this day, is just vanished. Okay, so this is where a normal flight turns into one of the biggest mysteries ever. Let's try to piece together the plane's very last known moments. So check out this sequence of events. Everything starts normally. The plane takes off on time. The last thing anyone hears from the cockpit is a very calm, very routine, "Good night, Malaysian 370." But then, just 2 minutes later, the transponder, that's the little box that tells everyone on the ground who the plane is and where it is, it just goes dark. And it wasn't a malfunction. Someone switched it off. And almost right after that, military radar picks up the plane making this bizarre, sharp turn, flying completely off course. And this is exactly why we use that word vanished. In the world of aviation, this is basically the ghost story. The plane didn't just crash, it was silenced. It was taken off the grid without sending a single alert that anything was wrong. You can imagine what happened next, right? The moment the world realized a 777 was missing, it triggered one of the biggest search efforts in history. But that massive, massive effort, it led to an incredible amount of frustration. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of this thing. You've got dozens of countries involved, fleets of ships, all sorts of advanced aircraft, all scouring this huge patch of the Indian Ocean. It ended up being the most expensive search in the history of aviation. And with all that technology, all that money, all those people, you'd think they would have found something. But days turned into weeks, and the search teams found absolutely, positively nothing. The ocean was just silent. So when you have a total lack of evidence like that, you know what happens, right? A vacuum is created, and speculation and theories just come rushing in to fill that void. It's just human nature. And this was the question on literally everyone's mind, from the top investigators to you and me watching the news at home. Without wreckage, and especially without the plane's black boxes, the flight data and cockpit voice recorders, how could anyone possibly know what happened up there? Well, it pretty much boiled down to 3 main theories. 1, a hijacking. 2, some kind of catastrophic mechanical failure that knocked out everything at once. Or 3, and this is the most disturbing one for a lot of people, that it was a deliberate act by someone in the cockpit. But here's the most important part of this whole table. Look at that last column. Unconfirmed, unconfirmed, unconfirmed. We still don't know. So here we are years later. And where does that leave us? It leaves us with a profound unsolved mystery, defined by just a couple of clues that eventually surfaced and a whole lot of questions that still haunt us. The first piece of actual physical evidence didn't come for over a year. That's when small pieces of debris, like a part of a wing called a flaperon, started washing up on beaches thousands of miles away from where everyone was first looking. Now, these pieces proved one thing. The plane did crash into the ocean, but they didn't tell us where. The only other clue was this kind of ghostly series of automated handshakes or pings between the plane and a satellite that continued for hours after it vanished. Those pings told investigators the plane kept flying south for a long time, but they couldn't pinpoint a location. And that's why, even today, the main wreckage has never been found. It's so easy to get lost in the technical mystery here. But behind all the satellite data and debris analysis, there is this incredible human tragedy. For the families of those 239 people, the feeling is just this endless cycle of unanswered questions, grief, and a total lack of closure. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Can you imagine? Just waiting, year after year, waiting for an answer that never comes, never knowing for sure what happened to someone you love. It's a wound that just can't heal. In the end, what happened to MH370 is just this chilling lesson. It's a reminder that even in our super high-tech, always connected world, something as massive as a Boeing 777 can still be swallowed by the vastness of our own planet, leaving behind a mystery for the ages. So, I have to turn the question over to you. The official search is over, but the speculation certainly isn't. When you think about it, the deliberate turn, the transponder going silent, that long, lonely flight south into oblivion, what's your gut feeling? A hijacking? A freak accident? Or something else entirely? Let me know what you think.